Now we review VHS Halloween! Yay! It's a 2025 film. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so Halloween VHS, I believe, is the first member of the VHS franchise that I am reviewing. And that's weird because I know I've seen other members of the franchise, but I guess that was before I was really doing the movie review thing. So, yeah. You know. But as with all of the VHS franchise, you have you have no real narrative. You have a number of segments. This time, the through line is testing for a supernatural soda called Phantasm. They're testing the Diet Phantasm, and they're trying to get the correct amount to get the ghostly flavor of Phantasm out by Halloween. That's sort of the narrative you have there. Then you've got other segments like you've got some girls dressing up like babies and, wandering into a real-life haunted house. You've got a segment where there's sort of otherworldly candy and some ghouls and goblins who really take the one per person thing very seriously. Then you have we do this Halloween maze every year, but this time there's a rather horror movie-esque twist, and so on and so forth. I mean, I don't think I've named all of the segments in there, but these are the segments. I would say probably the highlight was the haunted house. I believe the segment is called Coochie Coo. It's got this sort of mother theme, and it really could have been a horror movie in and of itself, but it was of course found footage. And, I think the low end part was there was a film service where they were making these videos in case your kid disappeared. And that one was just really dumb. I mean, it's like, this is a real thing. I don't think it makes a very good horror movie. And it's like, look, they do a lot of investigation when people die because they want to make sure they got the right person. And it's just, the way that one ended was very unsatisfying. Now, one of the things you should generally know about these movies is this is a splatter film, okay? I don't know if it would be called a true gusher film, but the centerpiece to this film was the ick, the nasty, and the blood, guts, and gore. Unlike other members of this franchise, there was no nudity, there was no obligatory boob shot. And I mean, given what you're coming to this franchise for, I feel that does detract. I mean, it's like, look, they're horror movies. Why no obligatory boob shot? They didn't, they had what might be called nudity, but I mean, I'm not even sure that was a female, and that was definitely not real nudity. So there was that. And I mean, it had a very retro feel to a lot of what was going on. Like there was, like the one where they're making these videotapes for kids. It was an 80s thing. They were making actual video cassettes for you to play on the news, if your kid goes missing, which is really morbid when you think about it. And I mean, I granted that happened in a small town, but it's just, when things like that happen, a task force is assembled, and I mean, the killer is going to be found. Okay, it's the criminal that does something once has a chance of getting away, but the criminal that keeps doing it gets caught, eventually. It's one of those things. I remember there was this one book about a serial killer, and the woman, there's this true crime author that says, one of these days when your crime spree is over and your time jumping fences is long behind you, we're going to find you. And it's like, okay. Yeah. You know, it's just one of those sorts of things. But what is my cat doing? Oh. At least she's pooping on the towel. Anyway, so VHS Halloween is a bloody good time, all right? And it is a kind of dismal movie that appeals to a certain audience, all right? So for the average person, I would put it in the middle of the watch list. It's definitely a middle of, I mean, it's not like, oh my God, you have to see this movie. The segments, you know, some of them go a little too fast. Some of them are a little confusing. And quite frankly, this is the kind of horror I don't like. Because a lot of it is there's nothing you can do horror. As opposed to there's a logic to this horror. You know, I prefer the horror like, you know, in Freddy Krueger movies, at least sort of, there's a method. There's a way of fighting him. Of legitimately being able to defend yourself. But I mean, in a movie where it's like, look, the monster is eventually going to win, and all you can do is delay the inevitable. I don't personally care for those movies. You know, those are not my kinds of movies. And I feel that's very present in this. So those of you who like the dismal, darker horror movies, you know, the creep show sort of a crowd, the gore hounds, those people that, you know, dress up on Halloween and really go all out, VHS Halloween is probably your movie. If you're the kind of person that already subscribed to Shudder because you're a horror hound, then yeah, you know, this is a must watch. It's a Shudder film, and it's a real gem for Shudder. Shudder has a lot of horror movies that I just wouldn't consider very good. I've watched a lot of Shudder films. I've seen a lot of reviews of Shudder films. My cat is pooping. And I just have to say that, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Shudder in general. But as Shudder films go, this is the cream of the crop. This is absolutely the best Shudder film I have ever seen. Okay? So yes, VHS Halloween, if you have a friend that has Shudder, or you're going to subscribe to Shudder, or, you know, something of that nature, this is the film to watch. It is in the middle of your watch list for the average viewer-goer, but for the horror aficionado, for the gore hound, for those of you who love scary movies, put it at the top of your watch list, because this is one scary movie. It's got some creepy visuals, a lot of very disturbing stories, and a fair bit of humor. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. I'm Richard.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Fred the Facehugger, and I'd like to point out that this world isn't a nice place. But you know who's trying to make it a nice place? The owner of this channel, yes. The owner of this channel does things like pay for ocean cleanup, and have trees planted, and even feed orphans in an orphanage in Mexico. Yes, it's a real thing, I'm not kidding. I may be a face-hugging alien from a horror movie, but I'm not a liar. Anyway, when you comment, like, and subscribe, you're supporting that better world, and whereas it may not make a big difference, it may be the difference between one more tree planted, one more pound of trash out of the ocean, or one child not going hungry tonight. So, think about it. Shouldn't you comment? Shouldn't you like? Shouldn't you subscribe? I certainly would if I were you. I'm Fred.